House Speaker Kevin McCarthy officially denied seats on the House Intelligence Committee to Democratic Representatives Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff, of course, both from California.
Yeah, Swalwell from the Bay Area called it political vengeance, and at least two Republicans actually disagreed with their leader McCarthy's decision, calling it corrosive. Representative Schiff from Southern California is joining us live now. Congressman Schiff, thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So, look, you chaired the intelligence panel for years, and now you're off of it. McCarthy has come out and said, hey, actually, you misused that when you were leading it, and you actually endangered national interests as a result of that, and that is the reason for removing you and not vengeance. But what is your view on what the motive is here?
Well, I think it's very clear this was one of the promises he made to Marjorie Taylor Greene to get her support to be Speaker. Marjorie Taylor Greene, you remember, was removed from her committee's last session for inciting violence against her colleagues in Congress. For McCarthy to do this when the Democratic caucus, Leader Jeffries nominated me, for example, to again lead the Democratic participation on the Intelligence Committee is unprecedented, but it shows just how beholden McCarthy is to the most extreme members of his conference. He is taking issue on behalf of former President Trump with the fact that I was the lead impeachment manager of Donald Trump's first impeachment. You'll remember that was when Trump withheld hundreds of millions of dollars in military aid for Ukraine in order to extort that country into helping his reelection campaign. That brought about the first bipartisan vote for conviction in a Senate impeachment trial in history. McCarthy doesn't like that, neither does Donald Trump, and this is their way of doing payback. But it's just going to do damage to the institution and cause the intelligence agencies not to want to share information with Congress because they see McCarthy using it as a political plaything.
Representative Schiff, can you explain to our viewers here in plain English why you being blocked from the Intelligence Committee is important? I imagine a lot of our viewers might see this as just more political infighting between Democrats and Republicans. Why is this different?
Well, it's different in two respects. One, you have McCarthy, for the first time in history, interfering with the membership of the Intelligence Committee. And on the other hand, you have him establishing a select committee with the Orwellian-sounding name on the weaponization of the federal government, which will get access to intelligence. So you have this political committee being established, sort of a new Benghazi committee, like that other political experiment of Kevin McCarthy's years ago, on the one hand, and then you have him interfering with the real Intelligence Committee on the other. And the reason Americans ought to be concerned by it is it's going to politicize the intelligence. The intelligence community is not going to want to share important information with Congress, and we need that information to make good decisions about the war in Ukraine, about China's intentions towards Taiwan, about Iran's nuclear program. He shouldn't be playing games with the Intelligence Committee, and sadly, for the first time in history, a speaker is doing exactly that.
I see. By the way, the video that our viewers were just looking at there, that was a press conference you held this morning jointly with Representative Swalwell and also Ilhan Omar, who was on the Foreign Affairs Committee or nominated for, and he is also opposing that. But I understand Speaker doesn't have unilateral powers to block that necessarily for foreign affairs as he does for intel. But I want to ask you, in this political climate, as partisan as things are now, do you think that the tradition of the Speaker having that power unilaterally for the Intelligence Committee appointments should remain in this day and age? I know that's the way it's always been.
Well, it's never been abused before, but like so many things we have seen in the last several years, new norms, democratic norms of office are being broken in ways that we never expected would be possible. So we're going to need to think about remedies. Last session, I introduced a package of reforms called the Protecting Our Democracy Act. I'll be reintroducing it this session to try to strengthen the democratic guardrails against actions like this that weaken our democratic institutions and that leave our democracy more vulnerable to a demagogue.
Representative Schiff, we know a number of California electeds from Katie Porter to Barbara Lee are beginning to throw their hat in the ring to potentially replace Dianne Feinstein in 2024. We know she would be 91 at the time if she decides to run. She hasn't announced her plans. Are you considering potentially adding your name to that list?
I'll have more to say about this soon, but all I'm prepared to say today is if Kevin McCarthy thinks that by taking me off the Intelligence Committee, he's going to somehow stop me from holding him and the former president and others that would tear down our democracy accountable, he's soon going to find out just how wrong he is.
All right, Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you so much for joining us today.